All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 9 after that huge mid-season finale. In this one, we're going to start off by giving our thoughts on whether or not we think that major character death was worth it. Alright, so let's use red for this one. So we'll start off in this video, spoiler warning, and give our thoughts on the huge mid-season finale death, but we'll keep it spoiler-free for thumbnail and all that stuff. So very general, was the death worth it? So of course we're talking about, final spoiler warning here, the death of Jesus in the Walking Dead television series. So I think we've all been so unbelievably excited with the whispers and the trailer just looking incredible for the second half of this season. If you guys haven't seen my breakdown video for it, definitely check it out. It's in the channel. You can see Alpha, you can see Beta. I mean, it looks freaking incredible. You gotta watch it, man. So watch, if you missed it, I'll have it in the end screen videos. Watch it after this one. Definitely watch the trailer breakdown because, I mean, it just looks unbelievable. But looking back now, because of course this is Jesus's final episode, Tom Payne's final episode in The Walking Dead, not everybody was really that happy with the death. A lot of people were pretty upset that they killed Jesus off at this time, and I think a lot of people thinking that they could have gotten a lot more mileage out of him. In the comics, for example, I believe he's even still alive right now, which is, many, many more seasons. That would mean that if you converted it, it would be somewhere like season 14, 15, maybe further, depending on how it's translated from the comics to the TV series. So, Jesus would be around for a very long time. So it is strange to see them kill him off, so prematurely in the television series, and there's different reasons cited for this. Kieran has one here. He says, "Hey, Trev, it's a shame that Tom Payne got bored with his character and decided he wanted out of the show." So this could be another Nicholas situation from Fear the Walking Dead. His character was definitely underutilized in previous seasons, but it feels like he could have really developed in the coming season since we're not just focused on Rick anymore. Oh well, I suppose his death made the Whisperer's entrance that more terrifying. And that's exactly what it comes down to. You always have to weigh it, and you have to ask yourself, whether or not the death was worth it. In this one, this is the introduction of the Whisperers. So it's sort of like when Negan gets introduced. When Negan gets introduced, they kill off Abraham, they kill off Glenn, and, there could be some backlash from that, or sometimes you might miss later on in the episodes that you don't have that certain survivor there. Like Glenn has been missed pretty much since they killed him off in Season 7, and the show has never really felt the same. But at the same time, the flip side of that is they have to include some big character deaths to introduce some of these new villains as worthy threats. Now, they could just have killed off, some other, add on another member of Magnus Group and then have him be killed off almost right away. But with this one here, it's a mid-season finale. Aside from that, we've had, of course, there's the loss of Rick, but it wasn't even really a death. It was like a leaving type thing. So Rick's leaving is sort of a death, but at the same time, it is, because you get the same kind of reaction out of it as you would from, even more so probably than any other character when you kind of do the helicopter death with Rick, but then he ends up living anyway, so we'll see him in a different form of The Walking Dead. But it's sort of a death anyway if you want to look at it that way, because he's going and he's leaving and he won't be back in this show ever. So his time in The Walking Dead original series is over. So that was a huge one from this season. That was a big part of this. Of course, the time skip afterwards and Judith growing up and all the different changes they made. Gasoline running out, them having to be on horseback basically all the time. Not as much, weapons as far as the guns go and this kind of stuff. So a really different type of world than what we're used to, and, for The Walking Dead, and kind of a new direction for it. So, it is a bit unfortunate. It would have been cool to see Jesus in the show for a few more years, probably. And we are in need of, some characters like that would be out in the field with Daryl, that would be in that type of position. And we do have kind of a small roster right now for The Walking Dead. Luckily, Magnus Group, even though, I haven't been the biggest fan of them off the bat, like right away, some of them is like, it's kind of, I don't know. Yumiko, though, and Magna, I really like the two of them. In terms of being out there in the field and fighting and doing things they have to do, they're going to be really, really useful, because when you look at the joint communities, how many fighters do they actually have right now? They have a lot of survivors, they have a lot of farmers, they have a lot of people behind the walls, but how many fighters do they have that are going to take up arms and get out there and actually fight? They don't. Right now, it does not look like they have that many, right? You had the Saviors group that was kind of going around, and Carol took care of them, but it's not like anybody else took care of them. It's not like somebody else had, defeated them, beforehand, and they must have known that there was this kind of threat out there of them around. They must have had some inkling or some idea they were out there, and nobody took them out. So it is kind of sad to see Jesus go in the series, because I did like his character. I thought he was great. The comic series version may be better in some ways for people who have read it all the way through. Certainly he had more time and he was there longer. But I thought that Tom Payne did a great job as Jesus, and I don't think it's any knock against him. He showed a lot of compassion as Jesus. I thought he looked the part, the hair and everything like that. Aside from the fact that, as we mentioned when he first appeared, that he was quite a bit shorter than what we kind of expected for the character. But I thought he came across on screen good. He looks like he can kick ass. Certainly in the last episode there, when he's doing jumping, spinning, slicing backwards type of movements with a sword and stuff, was really cool. And so I like to see him a lot, and it would have been cooler to see him later on. But you want to bring the Whispers in strong, so you want to have some kind of a major death there. So I suppose that makes sense for that. The only danger that The Walking Dead runs is that they're getting closer to sort of a fear type territory now, where they kill off so many people that it's like, what the hell am I watching? It's like a new show, because all the characters are new and everybody that you're familiar with is dead. So it's kind of unfortunate. But the Whispers are such a huge deal to come into the Walking Dead TV series, and the show had, it's been in kind of a territory where you really weren't sure what was going to happen after Rick left. You weren't sure how many people were going to come back and continue to watch it. But with this type of episode, with this mid-season finale, I would say for this one, my opinion anyway, of course you guys are entitled to your own, and you can leave your comments below, let me know what you think. I think it was worth it. I think it was well worth it, even though it kind of sucks that he's leaving and everything like that. You did get a huge episode out of it, I think, and a huge introduction for the Whispers that made them look so dangerous, so strong, and so scary, almost like nothing we've ever seen when that Whisperer dodges his swipe out of nowhere and just, puts him down, man. That is just a brutal scene, horrifying scene that kind of shocks you and comes just about out of nowhere, aside from knowing that it's close to the end of the episode, so something's going to happen, right? It was incredible, man. It was amazing, and no knock against Jesus. You can go different ways with it. It would have been cool to see him on longer, but if you're going to go out, that's a good way to go, because you go out in such a way where you're introducing the new villains as such an incredible threat and as such a dynamic, different type of threat. Unlike anything we've seen in The Walking Dead before. So I will miss seeing Jesus in the television series somewhat, but I don't know if that's true. Did he confirm that he wanted to leave? That I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Maybe I'll get back with you guys on that one, but if he did, and I've seen that in a few comments now, I didn't watch The Talking Dead after the episode, so I should watch that this week. But yeah, if he did, then okay, it's fine, whatever. He had a good number of seasons in the show. He came in season 6's back half. Yeah, 6's back half. So that's basically, kind of like 3 seasons or 6, 7. Well, part of 9. He hasn't been in that much, but like 4 or 3. You could say 3 full seasons because 2 of them are half seasons. So that's quite a bit, in this series, and maybe his career will benefit from it. Maybe he'll go off and do other things. One thing about it is he might not have been satisfied if he really didn't get that much time, but this is the time that he was starting to. Going forward, he would have if this didn't happen. But, I guess maybe it just all made sense. He wanted to go. They wanted to have a big death to put over the Whispers, and they did, and it worked. And okay, fine. I'm happy with that. I don't think this is another Carl situation. I don't think it's like that. I think it was what it needed to be, and certainly I think it was very exciting to see, even if it comes at the expense of losing a pretty good character, a good character. Richard K. Strocker said, Jesus isn't dead. He was breathing heavily in the last shot of him. So, once we saw the trailer, we broke it down, you can see there's a coffin and everything like that, the hilltop. Unless we're wrong here, I think he's dead, dude. I'm sorry to tell you, Rich, but pretty sure he's dead. I mean, I would be kind of shocked if he somehow survived that. Also, again, this is a new time for The Walking Dead. They have to travel on horseback, so if somebody gets stabbed, it's not like they can throw them in a car and just buzz right back to Sadiq or a doctor or something and get them going right away like that. It's not that type of situation. This is where he's out in the middle of this cemetery in the middle of nowhere, and he gets brutally stabbed in a life a threatening way, or in a way where it's like, that's not going to last. And then they still have to fight off more of the whispers afterwards while he's like laying there or whatever, by the time they're done with all that. And then they make it back to the hilltop. It's daylight, when you look at the trail, it's daylight the next day when they get back. So yeah, dude, I mean, I'm really thinking he's dead. I'm sorry to tell you. Midnight Black says, what's with villains taking Daryl's stuff? First it was his crossbow, bike, and jacket. Now his knives. So that's funny. I never noticed that all the villains take Daryl's shit, but I guess they do. The crossbow, is that Joe talking about killing for the crossbow, that kind of thing. Who took Daryl's crossbow? I'm trying to think here, right? This is going way back now. The bike, certainly you had Dwight who took the bike, and he took the jacket too, and now maybe Beta will take his knives, so that's really funny. So, I never noticed that. I never noticed it, but that's really funny. Zeki Numanoglu says, Trev, don't you think Beta in live action looks a little bit off? The look started to grow on me after I saw Beta fight. So the way he walks out and stuff. Well, personally for me, when you look at the trailer, he looks a little bit cleaner than what I'd like to see. I'd like to see, I think that the look for the Whispers, when you see Alpha from behind and she's walking through and they have, all dirty, they look like they've been walking around in the same clothes for 2 years. Like they have not showered in years. And they have just like mud everywhere. They're living in the dirt. They have just these scrubby clothing on. Like just, it doesn't, they're not, their hygiene is not a big deal for them. They're not really that, it's part of their gimmick, right? They blend in with the dead and they're almost dead. Like they're just about dead pretty much. I mean, even the way they behave is like, old brain, id-based kind of, it's not really, they're like animals, right? The Whispers. They're organized, so they have the human side of them too, but they're like these vicious animals, right? So they're humans, but they're sort of in between, I guess you could say, walkers and human beings at this point. They've kind of found a nice little middle between the two, of which they exist in. And so Beta looks too clean to me in the trailer. That's what I'll say. I would like to see maybe more blood. I'd like to see more grays. I think the blue might be a little bit, some of the colors might be a little bit too vibrant. Maybe they wanted to do that to kind of keep it like comic booky or something. But personally to me, I would like to see a little bit more, maybe a little bit more like the others, a little bit more blood, a little bit more. Some people have referred to them as Slipknotty, right? Like something like that. But I'm happy with the look, and I'm not complaining or anything like that. I think it's amazing. I just think that, maybe you have a little bit more muted colors and that kind of stuff, and blood splatter and stuff like that for him to have it make sense. But hey, you know what? Maybe he's not out there killing people all that often. Maybe most of the time he's chilling back while the other Whispers go out and do all the dirty work. So he's relatively clean and he's relatively unharmed, or just just relaxing because no one will challenge him, right? And he doesn't have to go out and do that stuff because he's busy protecting, as Alpha's second in command. He's basically protecting her all the time, pretty much. Then the Dirty Fecker says, yes, Jesus is dead. Now all we need is Tara, Ezekiel, and Cindy to die horrible deaths. And we'll be on the road to getting rid of all the cardboard cutouts. But all the Oceanside needs to be machine gunned down too. So he's nasty Dirty Fecker, right? So it's not F-E-C-K. Okay. So that's his name. So he's a little vicious, right? He likes the fact they kill Jesus off. I mean, I don't like it, and I'm not saying that I do, because I like Jesus. But you have to do stuff like that in order to introduce the villains in such a dramatic way. Jason Shepard says, the fight between Beta and Daryl will be epic. I can't wait. And me too, man. I absolutely can't wait. And then Rise Jackson says, Daryl's not good when it comes to hand-on-hand combat. So his resume hasn't done too well for that. I mean, he's been alive so long in the zombie apocalypse now. I would think he's pretty damn good at just about any kind of combat you want to throw him into. And, in the different fights he got into with Rick, I kind of got the sense that he I don't say he almost got the better of Rick, but, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like Daryl can hold his own against just about anybody, and especially if he has knives, and even if Beta's a bigger guy and Beta doesn't, he's unarmed or whatever, I mean, story-wise, you probably go with Beta, but realistically, if someone has two good-sized knives and the other guy's bigger, yeah, it might be able to go either way, but generally, the guy with a knife, I mean, dangerous, right? Very dangerous. Also, when you get bigger guys, they're more, the target is bigger and stuff. Maybe they have longer arms so they can grab. They can get, basically, if it's against somebody who has a knife, they have to get the knife out of their hand. Otherwise, and a lot of times they might have to sacrifice something to the knife, right? And if the guy's got two good-sized hunting knives or something, then it's like, oh man. So, but you guys saw the video about Daryl versus Beta video predictions. Watch that one if you don't know what we're talking about. It's in that one. You can hear the whole thing all the way through. Stephen B. Smith says, Trev, do you think Angela Kang is forcing too many relationships? Gabriel and Rosita is weird, and Alden and Enid is just so messed up. What the F is she thinking? So I personally don't have a problem with all the relationships because I get the sense they've been going through somewhat of a peacetime period in between. So I'm okay with it because it's like, what do you expect people to do for entertainment? They've got the fair, okay? But aside from that, they're running around, you know what I mean? They're like animals in some ways. We want to talk whisperers, right? They're running all over the damn place. They're working like crazy. Sometimes it's going to be super hot out, I would think. And, again, like I said, they don't have a whole lot in the way of entertainment. They don't have a whole lot to do. And it's life or death situations all the time. So you have the adrenaline pumping and everything going. And so it would just happen. Like, what else would you expect? You know what I mean? It would just to me feel like, but you could have some people like Daryl too that would not be interested in wanting to do that or anything. So it depends on the person, but I don't think personally she's forcing too many. I think that naturally something like that, once you get a peace period, if you look at baby boomers, for example, after the war ended, right? So, you have this huge just population surge like crazy. Everybody's hooking up. So, and having a bunch of kids and stuff. So, it just, after war, you're successful with the war, you go home, you don't know how much, you get this whole sense of you don't know how much longer you're going to live. So if you want to do it, you got to do it right away. This kind of thing. And so, yeah, man, I mean, I just think it'd be kind of natural, to be honest with you. And I don't think sometimes maybe I think it might be a little bit too much, but otherwise I don't mind it. It's fine with me, and I think it's pretty realistic to the world. Peacetime after war that people would do that. I mean, in real life too. So Tom's Noctur says, Trev, do you think the entire Whisperers group is shown in that clip? So the clip with Alpha at the fence with Daryl there, and you see a whole bunch of Whisperers with her? No, I do not believe that is all the Whisperers. I believe that is just like a small subsection of the Whisperers, and I would expect the Whisperers to be, it's hard to put a number on it because, they use walkers too, so you can't even tell how many Whisperers there are, because they could come in with 1,000 walkers, and you think they're all walkers, and, a good solid half of them or something are Whisperers. So I'd say maybe, would they have more Whisperers than the Saviors? I'm really shooting in the dark on this one. I mean, you could maybe say 50 Whisperers, but you could go higher, too, in the TV series. You go with 100 or 200, something like what we saw with All Out War. You could go up higher than what you would think. So, really, they can choose to bring in about as many as they want to, but I would say that the group that goes with Alpha to the Hilltops Gates most likely is not even close to the full group. It's probably just Alpha's top-level guard, basically, is best fighting Whisperers. That's what I would think that she would bring with her. But she probably wouldn't bring everything because she's trying to meet and discuss terms, see what they're going to do here. And, she's not trying to take it over and attack it down at that moment. So not right there. No. So I don't think so. And last one will be from Sure Shot Clothing, who says, just to let you know, alpha means alpha male. Don't get it twisted. Men are supposed to be the strength. So the way alpha is in the comics, being that alpha is a female and not a male, some people probably were expecting to see, would think that beta would be the alpha, your alpha, this kind of thing. Again, alpha, the whole term of an alpha male and this kind of thing, we won't get into too much, but because it's kind of pop psychology, I don't know if it's effectively like a perfect term. It's kind of one that's open to so many interpretations. It means different things to different people. But, there is such a thing as an alpha female, again, depending on how you want to look at it. But it's not the same as an alpha male. An alpha female, or your top female, so to speak, would be the female that attracts a mate of the highest perceived social hierarchical position. Okay, so you're maybe your most powerful male, or your most and again, this isn't sexist. This is serious. I'm being very serious with you guys here, right? So this would be somebody who maybe in regular life could be the richest person, or could be the funniest, could be the most charismatic person, or could be, most successful person, or the strongest person, or maybe in high school you go with, like, I don't know, what's a common understanding? Maybe like someone who's on the football team or quarterback, or in Asian culture, maybe it's the smartest kid in school. And I'm being serious again here too, right? It's different. In North America, it's that way, and then but you look at some Asian cultures and stuff. It's like the kid who's got the highest IQ would be the the alpha male in that situation. So for women, it's the opposite. It's kind of like the one that is able to obtain the most successful male. And it's not just about that too. You could say that you could mix it in a little bit with a little bit of the competitiveness over pretty power and things like this. And there are other things as well too, right? Especially if you're all living in the mud. It could be I suppose in some cases it could be, if you're looking at sports, like the best female player on the sports team, right? So yeah, it's not a perfect way to look at things, but of course these conversations are going to come up more and more because we have the concept of alpha, beta, this kind of thing, and so we're looking at it more with the Whisperers and the way they look at things, which Negan sort of in the comic series kind of calls out. So we'll see if they adapt that, which will be kind of cool. Anyway, that'll be it for today's video, guys. If you liked it, and I hope you did, thumb it up below. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate all you guys' support. We're going to keep right on rocking, keep right on going, and let me know in the comments below, do you think the mid-season finale death was worth it or not? That's it for this video, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.